Okay, we're back with Rene Reviews on this on the Locked Off Logic podcast talking about The Last of Us season 2. And you just mentioned you tried to rewatch it before the show. You did a YouTube deep dive. And I have some notes here too. And the first thing I looked at was just like The Last of Us Part 2, the video game was so divisive. Of course, it makes sense that the TV show would do the exact same. So what did you think, Renee? You start us off. What did you think of The Last of Us season 2?
So I loved it, of course, but as you know, and you just said yourself, that people are freaking out because they're saying it's not like the game, but I think it totally is like the game. I mean, it's the game that I played, so I don't know what anybody else is really talking about. But they were mad when the game came out and when there was the Joel's death. People were mad then, so I'm not really surprised that they were mad now with the show. I mean, I was shocked too. I thought they were going to maybe, since it's Pedro Pascal, he's everywhere nowadays. I thought they were going to stretch him out. Maybe if they did 3 or 4 seasons, maybe towards the end they would do Joel's death or something. But I was shocked myself when they did that so soon in the show. But it was just as heartbreaking as it was in the video game, and there was just the look of it, like the whole set just looked like everything was perfect. I watched this Joel's death scene today. I watched the show clip, and then I immediately watched the video game clip, and they're pretty much almost exactly the same. There's a little bit of tweaking here and there, but nothing major. And it's the game was gorgeous, and both visually and as a story, I absolutely loved it. It's tragic, but it is really emotional. And yeah, I cried at the end of it, and
Um,
I probably will cry in every playthrough.
Yeah, um I don't yeah, the discourse around The Last of Us season 2 was so divisive, and just like the game, they killed, the most famous, the most loved man in the world, Pedro Pascal. And I think like the whole experience was kind of like maybe a wake up call for like the Last of Us fandom. Cause man, like I mean, and this is what really put me into like a deep dive is when I first found your page and I saw like some of the comments that you were getting when you posted positive reactions. I was like, did these motherfuckers play the same game I did? Because I had one guy that was like, well, Ellie wasn't wearing a beanie when Joel dies in the game. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
that's what you're pissed off about? Like, so I did like I did a little comparison to where I compared The Last of Us fandom to Star Wars, right? Like Star Wars fandom is incredibly toxic as well. And with The Last of Us projects compared to the Star Wars project. So Star Wars, based on fan reactions, out of all the Star Wars projects that I could find and think of, um, out of all the projects, 9 of them were deeply hated by the fandom. 6 of them they were neutral on, and 8 of them they love. And so more than half are either hated or neutral. I'm like, are you really a Star Wars fan then if you hate more than half the stuff they put out? The Last of Us, well, not as much. It's still really sad. Hate two, two projects that are absolutely hated, two that people are fine on, and then one which is fairly beloved, which is just the first video game. So I kind of feel like the Last of Us fandom is kind of turning into Star Wars, where they're going to be serially pissed off no matter what happens, and that really just makes me sad.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's just I feel like at this point, like nothing is gonna satisfy them. But I mean, if you played the game, you should know what to expect. And I've had people who said to me that it was nothing like the video game at all. And I'm like, well, you do know this was like the first, what, like not even the first half of the video game, maybe. Um, so I'm like, well, we haven't even gotten the whole like that whole adaptation of that video game yet. So I think just think it's so quick to judge, but I also just think people are just so bitter because Joel still died. And I really just don't get it why people are so angry over Joel's death because like if there was a real zombie apocalypse, anybody can die at any second. You know, nobody is exempt from that. So like, yeah, in reality, Joel could be killed at any moment. Ellie could be killed at any moment. Like no one's immune to that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the game, I mean, there's only really three people left alive, and we start out with, a bunch of main characters. There's Jesse, who I love. He's Captain Wyoming. That's why I wore my Wyoming shirt, is because we finally have a superhero in Wyoming. It's Captain Wyoming. Like he dies. All of Abby's friends die. I mean, it's just, I mean, if The Last of Us season one like taught us anything for people that are like show watchers, um, they like anyone can go at any instant. And I've seen like some people have like gripes with like that Joel was in therapy and they added like Catherine O'Hara's character. And I'm like, y'all, that is some weak sauce. Like, I'm sorry, but like that's like they're like Joel, well, the Joel I know wouldn't be in therapy. And it's like he
Mhm.
wouldn't? Like if there was a therapist available, like this is the same. He's like, no, you wouldn't do that. This is the same guy that took his, adoptive daughter to a space station in the middle of Wyoming to give her like a space adventure. Like he's obviously very in touch with himself
Mhm.
and his emotions. He might not always express it in the most eloquent way, but he's obviously very in touch with that. And if you follow, like sometimes I think The Last of Us kind of makes more sense in reverse for someone like that, where Joel is in therapy for episode one, episode two, a little bit in episode five, I think. But Ellie never really tells him why she's pissed off at him. Um, except for the whole Eugene incident where he tells his therapist that he had to go because of a certain thing, and she gets pissed and blows up, and but she never explicitly tells him about what happened at the hospital, at least in the TV show version of things. And so, if there's a resource available to where Joel can do his part to try to help himself mend his relationship with Ellie, and you can include Catherine O'Hara, who I think is a great addition to the cast. I think she's amazing. I mean, why not? Like, I don't think you're taking away from the story in any different way. I don't think you're deviating from the story. I think it's just an addition. And I saw, like, one of my notes is, and just in the commentary I saw online, and even a little bit with like my co-host, he was like, I didn't like that Joel was in therapy. And I was like, I just think that's a minor change. If you're okay with
Yeah.
Bill and with the Bill story not ending in like a big fight where you find his partner and kills himself, then I think you should be okay with Joel seeing a therapist, especially like
Mhm.
they're building a community. They're trying to get settled. Like he's got glasses on, like he's building buildings, he's planning for refugees. Like they're trying to get settled. So why not, like work on yourself a little bit?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I mean, I can't stand when people complain about such minor things like that. Like it's not like the complete like plot was altered because he went to therapy. I mean, yeah, is it random that they added that in? Of course. But like you said, you made a good point just now. If therapy was available then, like in times like that, would you take advantage of it? And I think people would, because especially in that kind of environment, everybody probably needs therapy. But I don't think that changed Joel massively. I don't think it altered the plot. So anytime people complain about little changes like that, it doesn't bother me because it's not like it completely changed everything.
No, I think people are a little nitpicky too. Like I think patience is hard for people too. And I this is I can understand where like the game purists are coming at here a little bit. I say that with a big caveat because I think patience is hard for anybody. And like episodic television that releases on a weekly basis, like with a story like this, like for example, when Joel was killed in the Last of Us video game, I just plowed through. I just kept on playing, Like I just was like, well, I gotta find this Abby person and get on to the next part of the story. And episodic television doesn't let you do that. You don't get to plow through. You don't get to keep going until you literally can't keep your eyes open. You have to wait. And I think that's really, really hard for some people, especially like video game players, to where the waiting was hard. And I heard some people complaining too about like the 3 month wait where like Ellie's in the hospital. And I don't, that's another thing. I'm just like, I think it's a very minor change. And it's a chance for Ellie's character to kind of go about things in a way that kind of she sees fit because she's not. And I keep telling people this, like that criticize the show of that have also played the games. Ellie's not like a militant leader. She's not like this trained assassin. She is a 19-year-old kid who, like that scene in the hospital where she wakes up screaming. I think that's a beautiful scene because that's a reflection of her character where she's traumatized. She's just looking to put one foot in front of the other
Mhm.
and figure out where the heck she goes next. And like those changes. I don't have any problem with those changes either. But some people didn't like the 3 month wait between when Ellie or when Joel dies and then Ellie finally leaves for Seattle.
Yeah, I feel like people just don't like when we see some characters being vulnerable. I guess people probably looked
Yeah.
at Joel being in therapy as like a weakness or something. Like, oh, Joel's soft, he's in therapy, or I don't know, something like that. And like the way, like with Ellie acting, like like you said, she's traumatized. It's this is what how people would really be in real life, and I just really don't get the complaints. I really, really don't.
No, and like the Ellie stuff, like it's interesting when you and we talked about this in the last time you're on the podcast, is if you poke around a little bit, like in people's logic, it always comes back to Bella Ramsey. It always does. Like if you push around long enough, it always does. Like I'm watching for the first time Game of Thrones, and Bella Ramsey just showed up as like this little kid, and I think she's great. And people were they like the scene that's most talked about and that's most made fun of is like the I'm gonna be a dad scene.
Mhm.
And yes, that is a change from the game. Like she reacts very differently um, when Dina tells her that she's pregnant. But again, like that's that's a plot point. I wouldn't call it like a major plot point, because all the major plot points the show hits on in that process. And like again, like I go back to like it's not a copy and paste from like the game to the show. And I think that the in my personal opinion, we may get some hate for this, but whatever, fuck them. Um, but like the scene where Joel and Ellie are like on the porch and they're kind of reconciling before he gets killed the next day. That is almost a word for word conversation that they had in the game, and I like that. I was like, okay, yeah, maintain that scene, whatever. I like that scene. But like the other scenes that maybe of less impactful, or maybe less crucial to the overall narrative they're trying to tell, I'm okay with some changes. And like Ellie, again, she's a kid. Her dad was taken to her, and again, looking at the story in reverse, she has her dad taken from her on the day that she was going to reconcile with him to kind of better the relationship. After Joel tells her, "When you have a kid of your own, I hope that you do better than I did." God forbid this kid in this world full of violence and death try to find some happiness in this news that her girlfriend just tells her. This girl that she has a massive crush on is in love with her. They have this sex scene, says that she's pregnant, and Ellie says, "I'm gonna be a dad." I'm like, good for her. Let her find a little bit of joy in this journey of revenge that she's going on. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, like, and you make a good point there. And Ellie, like, she's not like everybody else, where she was born into this, so she's not used to a family. I feel like before Joel, she was probably just had like a bunch of people taking care of her, but it was never like one sole person she could really look up to. Um, and definitely with Joel dying, I think that made her think like she's lost everything, everybody. But now with Dina, and she's starting to fall for her and sees her and Dina working out. I guess she sees Dina being pregnant. She's like, oh, wow, my family gets to grow even more. So that's why I think, like, I mean, I feel like that's how anybody would be who has never had like family in their life. If they finally get one, I feel like they'd be very grateful for it and happy. But yeah, I mean, there's no reason for her to, like, it's nothing wrong for her. It's not wrong that she's happy. Like, she literally just had so much taken away from her, like the only father figure she's had. Like, she's happy she can have a family, still have a family when she thought she would never have one again.
Yeah, and she gets most of the criticism in this, and I just don't get it because like like I mentioned earlier, like people, it always comes back to Bella Ramsey, where it's like she doesn't look like Ellie. And I tell him again, I'm like, look, yes, she does not look exactly like Ellie from the game, and like let's even leave out that like Bill or Pedro or any of these people don't look like their characters from the game. Let's just give you that, like she doesn't look like Ellie from the game. Like, why is that such a hang up for you? Because like for me, like she's got the same mannerisms. Her scene, especially like in season one, where she's like telling this little girl who broke your fucking finger. I'm like, that's Ellie. That just came off as Ellie from the game for me. Just her mannerisms, her temper. But yes, she does not look like she does not look 100% like Ellie from the game. Again, like but you put it back even further. Like there was a casting call of over 100 actresses, and Neil Druckmann, the creator of Ellie, signed off on Bella Ramsey to be the Ellie in live action. And Ashley Johnson, the voice of Ellie, gave her blessing and then came on to be Bella's mother in the series. So everybody that knows Ellie more intimately than we ever could signed off on that casting. And I say that Bella has acted her ass off and she's been so amazing. And again, like it's mostly men being like, well, she doesn't look like Ellie. It's like, okay, well, now you're coming off as a little bit creepy, my friend, because in what is it? Is she not attractive enough? Is like what is it about that you're so obsessed with like the physical feature of Ellie? Because I remind these people, she is 14 in the first game. She is 14, and then she is 19, which 19 I think is still a child in the second game. So why is her physical appearance such a hang up for you? Like in Logan, for example, X-23 in the comics is around 17 or 18. And in that movie, she was 11 or 12 at most. And nobody had an issue with that, even though she didn't look exactly like the person from the media she was based on. And so like I don't want to be that guy, but it's always the men. 'Cause I don't see many women coming up with this criticism of Bella Ramsey. It's always the men. It's always about her appearance. And when you poke at it enough with their logic of why you don't like this meeting of The Last of Us, it always comes back to Bella Ramsey. And if you really poke hard enough, it's about her appearance. I just think it's weird. What do you think about that in general?
I mean, I think Bella Ramsey is great. Sure, she doesn't look exactly like video game Ellie, but she sounds just like her. She like her mannerisms are just like Ellie's. Like if I wasn't looking at the TV and you asked me if it was the video game or show, I might be like, oh wait, I don't know. I don't know which one it is. Like I just felt like her voice is very similar to Ashley Johnson's, and like she's when she's threatening people like shut the fuck up like that, that's still like I feel like it's that Ellie. And I just think she has embodies Ellie fine. Like I never understood why people freak out if the characters don't look the same. Like they're not. I mean, I might be told it. I might be wrong, but I didn't see too many people freaking out when Pedro was announced as Joel. I think I saw more like people were excited about it. Um, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like y'all are complaining about Ellie, but Joel isn't Hispanic in the video game. At least I don't think he is.
No, he's
Joel
not.
Miller. I
No,
don't
he's
think
definitely an
Joel Miller
American.
is.
Yeah.
Um, and like now Tommy is also Hispanic as well. And like I feel like I saw a little bit of complaints about that, but like nowhere near the volume I've seen of hatred towards Bella Ramsey with this. And she's killing it. I honestly think she's doing a fantastic job, and kudos to her for she's probably getting a ton of shit. I'm sure I hope she's ignoring the things online, but the hatred towards her is absolutely ridiculous. Her performance is fantastic. She's a great Ellie. She embodies her. She brings Ellie to the screen. Like I really don't understand it at all.
No, I don't either. And she was just nominated for an Emmy. So like obviously like
Yeah.
professionals see like her talent there. And I know the same thing's gonna happen with like Kaitlyn Dever too, with Abby. And like I try to like explain this to people sometimes too, where it's like, well, like there wasn't enough bloodshed like in season two, right? Like 'cause I told my buddy and he was like, well, it just wasn't as violent as like there were violent moments, there were brutal moments, but you told me that The Last of Us 2 was the most brutal game you've ever played. And I was like, that is correct from the start of the game to the end of the game, where You watch your biological dad die, and then you save your worst enemy from being crucified by a bunch of slavers, and you fight and you do all these different things. And I mean, yeah, like yeah, it is the most brutal game I've ever played in my life, but it's a whole as a video game. That being said, in this realistic world that they're living in, like in the game, it makes sense. Like you want to have like the Abby and the Ellie. Ellie kind of a little bit more like agile. Um, you want to have Abby being a little more strong, where she can snap a few necks and all the different stuff. That's great. Like that makes sense as far as like a combat perspective, but I don't think it needs to be that way. Like in this medium of the TV show, I don't think Kaitlyn Dever needs to be super jacked. I think she needs to have the training, obviously, so she when she gets in a fight, she can hold herself up. But being super jacked, I don't think that's a need for the TV show. I think Kaitlyn Dever portrays everything I wanted, and then more from Abby. And then, like in the game, you have to put in combat to make it interesting. You have to have Ellie plow through, 200 wolves and a couple of seraphites to get to the end goal. But like in this realistic setting, first off, there's not enough time for that, and it's not realistic that these two girls will do that. Like I said before, like they're two 19-year-old kids and they don't know like where to hide in Seattle. They're not going to take down this militant army by themselves like they would in the video game. In a realistic adaptation, it just doesn't make sense to put that in. But in the game, you have to do that because it adds action and to the game and fills those gaps between storylines. So yeah, like was there not near as much bloodshed as I thought there was going to be? Yeah, there wasn't. But the moments that Ellie needed to be brutal and violent and cruel, she was. Like with when she hit the girl with the pipe, when she killed the two friends. I forget, I'm spaced on their names right now. But the friends of Abby, like she was brutal when she needed to be brutal.
Like the pregnant one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
I forget the name of the top of my head. I'll have to look it up. But yeah, I think she was awesome. In fact, the only issue that I had with the show, really, I had two issues with it, and I'm nitpicking because I really do feel that this was, apart from Andor, the best show of the year so far, in my opinion. Although The Bear is really good too. Um, is the first scene of the show? I didn't love how they kind of told you what was going to happen with Abby and Joel, of like, I'm going to kill Joel Miller. I would have liked to have that out because that was kind of fun in the video game to kind of find out who this lady is that just killed Joel. Was it a Firefly? Was it someone that he'd wronged? Was it whoever, an ex-girlfriend? You just don't know. And then you find out. So I wish they would have waited for that reveal. And then I would have liked maybe two more episodes. I thought the season was a little bit short, 7 episodes. I would have liked another maybe 2 episodes, or maybe the last episode being like one of those big long episodes. It's like an hour and 40 minutes or something. But those really are my only two complaints about season two of The Last of Us.
Yeah, it was pretty short. I mean, I feel like it was I feel like season one was maybe was that 8 episodes?
Nine
I feel
episodes.
like it 9 episodes. Oh
Mhm.
wow. Yeah, this was definitely really short. But they did stop at a good point, I thought. Like they stopped exactly where you switch off from being Ellie to Abby. And that's another scene, that final scene right there that was in the show. That's another one that I watched on YouTube where I watched the video game one versus the show, and it's so spot on. And Kaitlyn Dever is great as Abby. She immediately kills Jesse, and I totally forgot about the shock of that when I saw that in the show, how quick it was. They just burst through the doors and boom, Jesse's dead. Um, but just that whole scene is very tense. Abby is pissed and she's pointing a gun at Ellie, and you're just like, oh my god, what is gonna happen? Like both of them are badass bitches, but both of them are also pissed. So like, who would win in this scenario? Um, but yeah, I mean, I felt when they cut it off in the show was a perfect spot. Um, Kaitlyn Dever, I hope she doesn't get as much shit as the Abby did for the video game. I don't really think her physical attributes are that super important. Again, it's like with her with Bella Ram, same thing with her and Bella Ramsey is they both like embody just the characters. And she definitely Kaitlyn Dever definitely came off as Abby to me. I was like, wow, she's really good, especially then she's in the scene she's beating Joel and everything like that. It's just she was really great for that. So
Yeah, and I heard some of the other complaints, and I have just a bunch of lists here like complaints I'm trying to like fight them with like just with you and all this stuff. But the one of them that I thought was again like the old argument of like it's too woke. And they always go back to that scene in Seattle where like Ellie and Dina are walking through and they see like the pride flags and then they have sex and more of my friends that are very much on like that side of the aisle were like Last of Us has gone woke. Last of Us has gone woke. And I'm like, like this again, like it's gone woke. Like if you go back on the source material, this is source accurate. Like Ellie has been a lesbian for a long time. It was not so subtly hinted at in season one. You knew this going in. She was a 14-year-old kid then. She's trying to figure it out. She's a 19-year-old kid now, so obviously she's exploring. It's not woke. It's following the story, you know? It's it's just it's based on the source material and in a post-apocalyptic world. Like you're gonna get the bigots that call her a dyke at the dance where Joel comes in and shoves a guy, and then you're gonna get just she's not hiding it because they're trying to survive in this world. There's very limited people. Why hide who you're attracted to? Like it's not. I didn't see any wokeisms there on the right side of the aisle, and on the left side, I know a lot of people like had issues with Neil Druckmann being from Israel and that conflict being so politicized, the scars and the wolves being like a parallel of Israel and Gaza, how they're both in the wrong or whatever, and it's a parallel for something. And I've looked at it, I've studied it, and I just don't think that's the case. Like that was an issue. That was an issue. That was part of the source material way back when they started writing this way back in 2016 or 2017, whenever they started writing it. And from what I understand from listening to what Neil says, is that the story of The Last of Us Part Two is just the cycle of hate to where, especially like the scars and the wolves, there is no kind of inciting incident and there is no end to this. It's just a constant cycle of hate where everybody just keeps one-upping each other, and that is it's broadcasted in a small realm with Ellie and Abby, and then on a grander scale of the game, it's highlighted between the scars and the wolves. I just think with those two things, the wokeness of Ellie's sexuality and the scars and the wolves, I think people are maybe reading a little too much into those. It's not woke, and I don't think it's a parallel for Israel Palestine. But I could be wrong. I'm curious to know what you think.
yeah, I don't really think it's that extreme either. I just think I thought it was really interesting actually when Dina and Ellie were on the horse and they saw the rainbow flags and everything and paintings on the wall. I was just like, oh yeah, they might not even know what that is. Because 2002 or 2003, maybe when the outbreak first happened, um, gay marriage was not legalized yet in America. So it was just really interesting them seeing that and they're just like, oh, what is that? And not realizing that it represents their people and a group that they're a part of. But I don't think there's any like secret hidden meanings or anything in there. I mean, Ellie was gay in the game. She's gay on the show.
Yeah, and like that scene specifically, like it's I think celebrating like your sexuality and like a pride flag, all these different things. It's really it's awesome. Like good for the people that do it, but it's a very privileged place to be in to where if you live in a place where you're free enough to do that or you're safe enough to do that, it's probably something a very privileged position to be in. Like I know people like one of my good friends is from Afghanistan. She has a friend of a friend of a friend who's secretly gay, and you sure as hell she's not posting about rainbow flags or anything on her Facebook because there's real consequences to that. And she's also like starving, so she's just got other things to do. And so like in this world, like yeah, the rainbow flags like they would have no content because it's such a it's such a probably a foreign concept to the current world they live in, where you're trying to find food, trying to find bullets. Like, who has time to like celebrate like who you are on that such in that intimate a level? I just don't think you can. And so I had no issue with that scene. But I just I watched the show and I did some reading of like Neil Druckmann when he talks about just how how The Last of Us Part One is about love, and The Last of Us Part Two is about hate and the consequences of hate. And he had this quote, and I think it's such a profound quote, because I always hear like, love is the answer. Love is the whatever, like love is the key that holds us all together. And Neil, he said, does love trump justice? Because essentially, Ellie and Abby are two girls trying to find their way after losing their dads and trying to do right by the one they love. Does love trump justice? I don't know. There is no right answer. All there is just cost and loss on both sides. And God, I think that's a profound quote because he talks about how love will make you do some crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Like love in season one will make Joel shoot up a hospital and potentially condemn humankind because of love. In The Last of Us Part Two, there's that scene where Owen, that's his name, Owen, he tells Abby he's got a plan to get out of like the cabin or whatever, and then Mel is like, "What's your plan, Owen?" And he's like, "My plan is to try to convince Abby not to do this because Abby believes that what she's doing is acting in love of her father." And the plan at that point was raiding Jackson, which Jackson has walls, they have bombs, they have soldiers. Like that whole group is fucked. 5 on 50 with bombs. That's not going to end well for the Wolves. And I thought that this season did that so well, where it's it is the cost of love. Like, what does it look like to love somebody? What kind of cost does it take on your soul, on your on your community? Because people do some really messed up shit in the name of love in this TV show, and it only gets worse from season three when I assume that they'll finish this out. And I thought season two did a great job of portraying that.
Yeah, so did I. And like the big thing I feel like a lot of people just don't realize that Abby and Ellie are very similar. Their stories and just how their trauma that they experience is very similar. And I think that's what's a gorgeous part of the game in this story. They both have people they love and they want to protect them. That's everybody, every group in this world, they all are just trying to protect their fellow members of their group and fight off anybody who's trying to come against them. So like everybody is has the same kind of goal really, where they're just trying to protect like themselves and who they love.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you was like I remember we mentioned the last time we were on the podcast with 28 years later to where The Last of Us 2 is kind of a test of compassion and we're all fucking gonna fail. Because they really are like two sides of the same coin. And I think that the show Abby will never like we talked about the last time we talked when it came to the final fight between Ellie and Abby, and they switched you to Ellie's perspective and the music crescendos and Abby's sitting there like bleeding and bloodied and tired, and you've got your knife. You're like, I can't believe I have to do this. No, like I don't want to do this. I don't think that the show will ever get that kind of compassion that show Abby because I do think that there's a difference in the not the characters that they're portraying, but just the way the story's being presented. Because with Abby, when you switch to her perspective, the first hour may be rough, where you're like, I can't believe I have to play as this bitch. But then you spend 10 hours with her. You watch her defend Lev. You watch her do her part to like help the scars. You hear what that event of love by Joel was like for her in the hospital like the struggle that her dad went through and like the moral hoops that he was jumping through to try to get okay to make this decision. And then you playing as her, it's so intimate to where you're surviving with her. Where I remember I was running from the Rat King for like 2 hours. I could not kill that thing. So I'm running and running, I'm shooting, and I'm just like, and you become them for 12 hours, and that just gives you like I don't want to call it a compassion, but just an understanding. And we'll never get that in the show because there's no level, like I'm watching her, but I'm never going to be playing as her. And so I do think that the show Abby will never get the same type of, albeit small bit of compassion that she got because you're not her for 12 hours.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. When I played it for the first time, I hated Abby like everybody did. I was like, oh my God, who does this bitch think she is killing Joel? And I do think the game delayed the reveal that her dad was the doctor that was supposed to operate on Ellie. I believe we didn't hear about that till you were playing as Abby in the game, but in the show, when she's hitting Joel with the golf club, she actually reveals this to him then. But I feel like Abby reacted how anybody else would in any situation. If once they revealed that it Joel killed her father, and I mean plenty of others people she loved as well. But like, if someone had killed my parent, I would want to go after them too, and I would want revenge as well. So I don't, and I feel like everybody would do the same. Are you just gonna be like, oh, okay, you killed them, that sucks, all right, bye? No, you're gonna want to get revenge.
Yeah, the whole story just keeps escalating. That's why I think that's such a profound story is it really is like a deep reflection on the hate that we experience every day and it's a cruel world. Like The Last of Us, they live in a cruel world, but like so do we, you know? Like I watched season two and I played the game again and I was like, there's two characters in the show that are maybe a little bit more moral than the rest of the characters. And I picked one from both sides, and I think Jesse from Team Ellie is the most moral character in that on that side, and then Owen on the other side. And both those characters end up dead. Like there's no bonus points for being a good person like in this world. Like Jesse, like he does nothing wrong all season, nothing except for maybe vote no for Ellie to go and kill Abby. That's the only thing he did wrong. But he cares for everybody. He protects everybody. He sacrifices love to stay with Jackson. In the end, like Abby offs him. Same with Owen. Like Owen, he tries to talk Abby out of doing this. He realizes that they're way in over their head and it's going to have consequences. And what does that lead to? It leads to him getting shot by Ellie. And so I think just people that are mad that Pedro died, like yeah, it's Pedro Pascal, and yeah, Joel died, but it's in the source material. And in this story, like nobody is safe. Even the two maybe best people from both sides, like neither one of them make it out of season two. I guess Owen's coming back because it's going to be showed from Abby's perspective. But yeah, I mean, morality does you nothing in this universe.
Yeah, I just don't get why people are bitching so much about about it. Like, I just with the game, it's the same. Like, I really don't the way I felt watching the show, I felt watching the game or playing the game almost. But I mean, like you were pointing out, when you're playing the game, like it's you in control. So I guess that's like where you can get more of an emotional connection to say when you're playing to Abby in the game. Like you're definitely gonna have more of an emotional connection to her as opposed to just watching her in the TV show. And just seeing her whole story play out, especially that ending on the beach, like Abby looks like shit. Like she is battered and beaten. I think her hair's gone too.
She's like,
It looked like she literally looked like death already. Just remember her being so broken and just it's just devastating seeing how she is after all that she's been through. She's a fighter just like Ellie, but she is just defeated in that final scene. And then you have to they had the nerve to make you become Ellie to the point where you're punching her constantly over and over and over. And I remember stopping, like I pausing the game and I'm like, I don't want to kill Abby because it's like her and Ellie have very similar stories and they're both just hurt because they lost their father figures and it's just heartbreaking to see that, Ellie's beating her that way when they get along. I mean, they probably would get along because they have similar stories.
yeah, I think just I there's another quote that I have written down with Neil Druckmann where he talks about The Last of Us. And Neil, he says that the beauty of The Last of Us is that it's okay to ask the question, quote, what if love is bad? And that two people that trust and love lead to two broken people that are all clinging for a cause that's real and helps them make sense of the world, something along those lines. But I think it's a good question where it's like, I mean, the reason that this final battle exists is because of two people that loved each other, and it's two young girls with very similar stories, very similar trajectories, um, that led to like this beach. And I think I just love it, and I love the female characters in this show. And like one of the questions I had specifically for you, I wanted to ask you because there's a TikTok influencer that really hit this show bad. She's a self-proclaimed feminist. She does have some good takes, but she's a big time like Andor stan, and so like there's no criticism at all with Andor, but with The Last of Us, she really hits hard, and she's like she had an issue with how the female characters in this show are portrayed, and I just don't see it. I don't see her criticism at all. I don't agree with it. But knowing that I honestly like there is you talk about like becoming a character, I do have limits to where it's like how do I see like female characters? So I was like dying to ask you, like a female, do you have an issue of like how these female characters are portrayed, like Catherine O'Hare or Ellie or Bella? Do you see any issues with that? Any potential issues with that? Because I don't, but I mean I am a male, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, I think Ellie, like I said, she's a fighter. She's, if anything, she's not going to let anybody walk all over her. She's going to fight back. So she's not going to take anyone's shit. So that seems like a really strong, independent female to me, you know? So I really don't get why people would say those things. Again, I don't know if it's because we see Ellie like be vulnerable. I don't know if that's why they consider that weakness or whatever. And um, but with like Catherine O'Hara, I mean, I didn't mind her character. Sure, that was a random little add-in, but it was interesting that I mean they only briefly explained it, but Joel had ended up killing her husband, I believe, because I believe he got bitten. I think they
Yeah.
said,
Hmm.
and Joel was the one that had to end him, and if I just thought her character is very interesting because she's helping Joel, but at the same time she's just like, you killed my husband. Like
Yep.
it's that in the back of her head. And I think we found her like drinking at some point too, I think. So she's obviously still um, dealing with the loss of her husband. But I feel like all these portrayals of the women on the show, it's just like women in real life. I really don't have a problem with it at all.
No, and like I think they're not overly sexualized, except for the video game Ellie, which is she's being sexualized by men just because they're weirdos. But like the producers aren't doing it. Like there's no nudity. Like there's I think they're being portrayed, in my opinion, really well. And like but people, people still feel, and it's not just like the female characters, it's the male characters too. And like I just like the show, like um I know I'm like a Last of Us stan. Like people probably can't see it here, but I have like a Last of Us poster right there, and like I know I'm a stan, but like I really thought like I really looked forward to this show. It met all of my expectations except for one, that it wasn't 2 weeks longer. I could get 9 episodes of it. I thought it was amazing. I can't wait till season three. Like it does have like a feel of like an unfinished story, but that's what it is. Like that's what it is. Like there's not enough money on God's green earth that HBO is going to give The Last of Us. Hey, do The Last of Us video game until all major plot points and make it 17 episodes long, or um, like um, like they don't have Stranger Things money where it's like okay, each episode's 2.5 hours long, 7 episodes. Like we just can't do that with this. Actually, maybe they could. Maybe they could have done that. Hindsight, that might have been okay, but it
They
had to have been
probably could have.
split.
I'm sure they have the money.
Yeah, they probably could have. Like that. Stranger Things probably does a good way to do that, where they just put each episode 7 episode season and make them 2.5 hours long. So I mean, maybe they could have, but like it does feel like a story that was split off like halfway through, but that's what it was. And my God, like that is some beautiful, beautiful television. Like the Pedro death scene, that hit me more in the TV show than it did in the game. Bella's acting was great. Pedro was amazing. Kaitlyn Dever was awesome, especially like when you know like what Kaitlyn was going through behind the scenes with like the death of her of a family member, and then her coming to set like 3 days later to do that scene.
Oh
I
yeah, it's
thought
awful.
yeah, just I thought episode 6 with the Joel and Ellie episode where they he takes her to the museum and he's just being a good dad and they have that scene on the porch. Like I thought that was just one of the most beautiful episodes of TV I've ever seen in my life. I cried like the whole time, just so, so beautiful. Um, and I'm a huge stan, and I love again like Joel's character, like when he's in that role of protector and it doesn't go maybe the way that he thought it would, and he blames himself. Like I've had that. Like I know you and I are just like starting to like be like be friends and talk on the podcast and things like that. But I have a nonprofit that I work with where we help young girls. And like when you're overprotective of them and they kind of resent you for it, you think you're doing a good thing, and it kind of comes back on you, and you blame yourself. And so I use that analogy because, like, of course, Joel ends up in therapy because he's protecting Ellie. He thinks he's protecting her from all these different things, and it kind of backfires on him as the protector. And he's searching for a new identity in whatever him and Ellie's relationship is. And I thought it was great. Can't wait for season 3. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about with season 3 is that Neil Druckmann pieced out. That does concern me because I think Neil Druckmann is a genius. I could listen to Neil Druckmann's brain work 24 hours a day. I think he's brilliant. Um, he directed episode 6, which I thought was an amazing episode. I know that he's focusing on like his projects at the video game company and hopefully The Last of Us Part 3, the video game. But if there was something behind the scenes that maybe happened, that does concern me just a little bit, but I'm still super pumped.
Yeah, I am too. It definitely does make me a little bit nervous knowing that like a couple of big names behind the video game are no longer a part of it. I just don't want HBO to turn this into like a Walking Dead where it goes on for way too long than it should have. And like, I don't want them to, what they're also starting to do with Game of Thrones is like all these spin-off shows. And like, I'm just like, all right, stop. You're milking it for everything it's worth. I just don't want HBO to end up doing that. I would be fine if season 3 was like the end. I mean, I think they'll probably pretty much cover the rest of the game they could. I would like it to be at least like 10 episodes. I think 10 episodes is fine. Like 10 1 hour episodes, or like you said, longer, like 2.5 hour episodes would be fine. I definitely just want more time into them kind of to just let us be in that world a little bit longer because it's everything just happens so quick. But I'm very excited for it. I really hope we don't have to wait 2 years, but that's the thing I'm seeing is till
No.
2027. And I'm like, can we please stop leaving these long gaps between TV shows? Like this is killer. Um, but I wanted to bring up one thing that I noted that was added into Joel's death scene in the show, which I actually just noticed today after watching the video game scene versus the TV show scene is after like Joel is dead and Abby and all of them leave the room, the show has Ellie like crawl over because she just got like kicked and beaten by Ellie's people. So she's like crawling over to Joel's body and just like crying over it. In the video game, there isn't that. It's just her screaming for them to stop and they kick her unconscious. You don't really see that. But I really like that the show added that in, that awful divorcing moment. I just thought it was more of an emotional thing, and I just thought it was appropriate. I thought if Ellie wasn't knocked out by those people, she probably would have done that. She probably would have been over Joel's body. Um, but I'm just really looking forward to seeing it in Abby's perspective. I know a lot of people probably aren't. Um, but we'll see. I mean, I have a positive outlook on it. I love the games. I have no complaints about the game, and I have no complaints about the first two seasons so far. So, um, assuming I'll probably enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really enjoyable when you just like, cut out the noise. And like the TikTok algorithm, like it pushes out the negative voices. So I know a bunch of these people that were giving it negative stuff and just nitpicking. Like the algorithm wants that conflict. Like no one's looking to be like, yay, like you liked it too. Yes, like whatever. Like the algorithm, it wanted like the engagement, it wanted the oh no, you suck or whatever. So I think some of that's a little like conflated too of just maybe it wasn't as negative as people thought. Just some of the bigger names, they have the algorithm down, and so they pushed out the negative. But I love that scene, like that you were talking about when because when she crawled over and she held his hand like this, like she does the exact same thing when Joel gets when he gets stabbed in season one, and he holds her hand back, and this time she doesn't do it, and there's always a TikTok that I see come up on my For You page every couple of months or something where it's like a slideshow where you can slide through like four slides of um, Ellie and Joel's journey. And the first one, it's them in Boston, and he's like, "Oh, I hate you," and she's like, "I hate you too." And then it's on the car ride to Kansas City, and Ellie's like, "I love you," and Joel's like, "I hate you." And then it's in Salt Lake City, and both of them are like, "I love you," and "I love you." They're a good moment. And then there's the scene in Salt Lake City again, like in the game, where everything comes to a head, and Ellie finds out the truth, where Joel's hugging her and he says, "I love you," and she says, "I hate you." And then the last one is a picture of Bella Ramsey on top of Joel holding his hand, and she says, "I love you," but there's no response. And that is just so damn heartbreaking because like you think like what Ellie is thinking when she's holding on to Joel, where it's like we were this close to reconciling to being daddy and daughter again and living the rest of our lives and exploring like our future days as Pearl Jam puts it, like our future days of you and me. And I was so cruel to you um for the last year of my life, and you defended me at the dance when the guy called me a dyke, and I berated you for it, and we had just fixed it. And did he die thinking that I hated him? Like, I don't know. Like, just all the things that are going through her head, all this potential future days that are unrealized. And Ellie, like, I think in that moment, she's like, I don't have future days. I may just have happily ever present. Which then, like, her reaction, like Dina's pregnancy and like these things that make her happy, because she knows better than anybody that you can't put off happiness until the future because the person that you love most can be taken away in the middle of a blizzard with nobody watching, and then it's done. Like all these empty promises, all these hopes and dreams and these plans for the future, they're over. And like it just, I think Bella again, like just portrayed that scene so beautifully, and it was such a beautiful add-in to like cruel because she's conscious, like when it's happening, like in the game, she's not conscious. To make her conscious for that moment, to have her do that, I thought was just an amazing addition.
Yeah, I just think the show really depicts the relationship between Joel and Ellie perfectly. I think shortly after his death, maybe in like an episode or two later, is when they brought Pedro back for like the Ellie's memories, where it was her birthday and he took her to that museum. And I thought that scene was perfect. Like that just shows that even in the middle of a zombie apocalypse, like Joel was still willing to make sure that Ellie had a nice birthday, and she doesn't know what having like a birthday celebration is like because it's totally different now. Uh, Now there's a zombie apocalypse, birthdays I'm sure are not celebrated the same way. Um, and Joel was just trying to make her feel special for that, even if it was for only a little bit at that time that they were in that museum. But I just thought the depiction of the two of them and there's relationship, even though it was rocky back and forth towards the end, I thought it was perfect. And just yeah, that exactly that ending. Just, I mean, well, but Bella, when her acting in that scene where she's crying over Joel's body like that, I was just like, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, oh my God, this might be more brutal than the video game was.
Yeah. I think you just described it perfect too of like I think true Last of Us fans that really enjoyed season two and have enjoyed this whole experience we've had with the TV shows. It's not the physical appearance of Bella Ramsey compared to Ellie or Pedro and Joel. It's the relationship. What made those games special is not how Joel looked or how Ellie looked. It's the relationship that you build with this non-playable character throughout the journey of of these two games. And I mean, you can give me two random actors. You can put Matthew McConaughey and Daphne Keene or whoever, two people that look just nothing like their counterparts. But if they have the same chemistry and the same connection that Joel and Ellie in the game have, and that Joel and Ellie in or Pedro and Bella have in real life, that's what I think makes this consumption of The Last of Us so special. Is because the relationship is still there. The relationship is like it was taken directly from the video game and put on screen and like if you've ever watched any behind the scenes, like Pedro Pascal loves Bella Ramsey. He is so good to her. He was been so kind to her when Bella came out as bisexual. He's so protective of like her sexuality. He's so protective of like her acting career. He's really just been amazing to her like on set. Like during that scene, you know the scene you're talking about. Like you watch the behind the scenes on what Pedro did as a veteran actor to make sure that his two actresses, Kaitlyn Dever and Bella Ramsey, were taken care of. Like Bella, like from what I've seen from behind the scenes, that Bella like wasn't eating super great because they were so close, and she knew that this mantle of lead character on the biggest show in the world now fell on her shoulders. And Kaitlyn at the same time, like the Abby character, like she's like both these actors are like at 21 at most in age, and Kaitlyn, like her a family member of hers, I don't remember if it's her mom or a dad or a grandparent, but someone close to her died. She flew out to Vancouver to do this scene, and like Pedro like took her on a horse ride, was really good to her. Like they went for a walk like in Vancouver. As Kaitlyn was getting ready for the scene that she knew she would get so much shit for because the voice actress got so much shit for it. And he was just so good to both those actresses, like in that moment, to make sure that they were taken care of during this monumental scene where everything changed on HBO and the world and everything. And because he is, I think because Pedro Pascal is that way, and he is that way with Bella Ramsey specifically, I've loved every second of Bella and Pedro together because it feels to me as a video game stan like Joel and Ellie taken from the disc and placed on to HBO because their relationship feels the same.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I mean, poor Kaitlyn Dever, I believe it was her mom that passed. And so that's obviously a major death. So for her to come back 3 days later and film that was really brave of her because a major death like that. I mean, I lost my father in 2010, and
Oh
a
man.
death like that, it really does change you as a person. It might not do it right away, but it really just like it's just I can't really explain it. It's just like and I just think it was that's like so sweet that Pedro did that with all that he did with Bella and with Kaitlyn. I know Pedro is a huge advocate for the LGBT QIA community. His sister is trans, I believe, and he's a big supporter of her. He's always with her on the red carpets, making sure she looks good. Um, he just seems like a very supportive co-star, and it's good when I really like seeing it when the stars get along outside of the show, because when it's actors that hate each other outside of things, you don't enjoy it as much. I mean, you're just like, wow, they hate each other. Like, but if you know, like they're close in real life and they actually like are good friends, it I don't know. It just makes it. I think it makes the show even better.
Yeah. Huh. Dang, I'm sorry to hear about your dad. I didn't know that about you. And yeah, like it just like something happens like that and like you were describing like losing your dad and Caitlin like losing someone close to her, the fact that like your people were there for you to make sure that you were taken care of, like it's just I mean, what more can you ask for, Like just yeah, just a huge stan. Can't wait for season three. I do miss, like you said, like the way in 2 years, like whatever happened to like episodic television where they gave you 22 episodes year after year. I'm like, "God, give me more of that." Like I miss that now. Like I know like some shows still do it, like Law and Order, like still does it, and but like I mean, Stranger Things. In what world are we waiting 5 years for new thing of Stranger Things, where like this 15-year-old girl is now in the real life married, and you're like, all right, okay, I guess I have to spend belief for a bit and just finish out this story, but. Yeah, the 2 year wait, like I'm not looking forward to that. I hope they start filming right away. I hope it's like early 2027, so we're less than 2 years away. And I do hope they finish it in season three. I do hope it's like I wouldn't want to wait until 2030 to see the end of this story. I'd like to see it finish in season three, and then if they do Last of Us Part Three, the video game, like bring the actors back in 10 years and do it again and do Last of Us season three and I hope Neil does. I hope he loves the story enough because I know that Last of Us the fandom is starting to turn into Star Wars where everybody's pissed off at everything. Everybody's speculating, and when people speculate and speculations aren't met, or they think their speculations were better than what actually happened, like people turn toxic. And so maybe Neil was serious when he said that Last of Us Part Two, the story's done, which would be just so sad because I do feel like there's more story to tell, and I hope they do it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cool to get at least one more part, but I would honestly be fine if there wasn't a part three. I feel like it's just there would be a lot of pressure on them with part three. Like they really gotta top it. How are they gonna top like two? Both the first two games were great. Like,
Yeah.
can they do it a third time? Um, and I mean, like the third game or the second game ends with Ellie. She gets back to the house that her and Dina were staying at with the baby at the farmhouse, and like Dina's not there, the baby's not there, so Ellie's like all alone. And yeah, it was a really sad ending, but this just things can happen like that. You can end up on your own at any minute, and I just think that that was like a good ending, a good like ending that was somewhat open ended, where you're like, oh, where do you think she went after this? Did she go back to Jackson? Did she go on her own and start a new life of her own? But I would be fine if they didn't make any more. But I mean, if they did, because if they made a third part three and it was trash, I would be so pissed.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true.
it's I'm fine with two, just the two. But if they do a part three, they gotta bring it.
Yeah. Well, I know you had some more notes. Anything that we didn't touch on?
Let's see here. Oh, the only other random thing that I liked, even though it was very little of it, the way they end, I had this a little bit of the stalkers in on the show. Um, they freaked me out in the game, the quiet ones.
Yes.
I thought that was great. I really liked how they depicted the stalkers. I believe that's what they're called. Um, I just thought like a lot visually, I thought a lot looked just like the video game. I thought Jackson looked great. I thought like the Seraphites and WLF, like that, they all looked great. Everything visually looks just like the game. And it was everything. It was just so stunning to see. I'm just like, wow, that's exactly how it happens in the video game. And I'm just, I just really don't understand how people that alone that doesn't make people love it. I don't know. It's the same again, it's the same as the game, but I loved it.
Oh,
And
that game saved my life. Like they're not game like the game was great. But the TV show, like I was so looking forward to the TV show this year. And like it came like a really hard time for me personally. And every Sunday I would count down the hours until 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time when I could watch it. And I was never disappointed. Not 1 week for 7 weeks. I was like,
me either.
that was awesome. And the fact that other people didn't get that same enjoyment, like Like, I'm sorry. Like, I just feel bad for him. Like, I maybe I will. I think I am stan enough to admit that Andor was better overall, but Andor came at such a weird time where it's meeting like our current political moment so perfectly that it's like just it's hard not to love like what Andor is putting out there. But it's like everything that I experienced playing The Last of Us Part Two, I was getting in and watching the show. I loved it. I had my family watch who's never played the game, and they loved it. And just like I go back, I pull up a podcast because they have some quotes in here about love. The interview with the Neil Druckmann in The Last of Us Part Two of he was really intrigued with this idea of unconditional love and the beautiful things that can come out of it and the horrific things that can come out of it. And I was like, that is such a profound quote, right? Like it's just because it's true. Like I think you see it in the world that we live in today of just like these people that do these things and how we interact as humans, and some of it is based on love and that unconditional love. And I feel like The Last of Us Part Two, and The Last of Us as a whole, really, not even like The Last of Us Season Two, is reflective of the horrific things the beautiful things you can do in the name of unconditional love, and also the horrific things that you can do in the name of unconditional love.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, especially when it comes to that kind of environment where losing your life is such a high risk, you really just people are willing to do anything for love or a loved one, there's and it's the same as now. And it's like, yeah, the whole area has changed. Like you're in a whole post-apocalyptic setting, but life still goes on. We still got to live and continue life somehow. But no matter what, it's just still consistent that people are protecting their loved ones and they'll do the craziest things possible to do that, to protect anybody they care about.
Yeah, and it's I saw this TikTok today about Kaitlyn Dever's character, specifically Abby, to where just because Joel and Abby are also very similar to where they're not super great at communicating their feelings. They're both very traumatized, and Joel gets the label of complex, and Abby gets the label of crazy bitch. And I was like, there's actually not that much difference between those two characters and the trauma that they've experienced and how they react to the world around them. And it's just different. It's just interesting how Joel gets so much more. I'm a Joel stan of how much more compassion he gets than Abby's character.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't blame Abby. I mean, I love Joel, but I would do the same thing if I were Abby. I can't blame her for that. Um, I do think that this scene that was also it showed a game pretty identical was when Abby found them in the theater and
Yes.
shot Jesse. And you can just see the look of regret on Abby's face because she recognizes Ellie and she looks at her. She's like, "I let you live," and because she was had some humanity in her and decided not to kill this girl, it then led to her other friends being killed as well, like Owen and Mel.
Yep.
And she's just like distraught. She's like, I've had enough trauma and I let you live and now look what you did. Like you just
Yep.
made things worse. So it's like, why should I bother being kind if being kind can lead to me still being affected negatively by it? But she just looks at her and says, I let you live.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, like
It's
that.
so
Oh.
good. It's like, and she's right, like she's the moral. She made a good. She's like no good deed goes unpunished. Like um and like it's funny because I misread the quote that Neil said, and it makes it even more profound. Of just because like it's really like a global trauma they're all dealing with, like not on top of the apocalypse, but also the fact there's no cure now because of what Joel did. And this quote is about Joel and Ellie specifically. It says the beauty of The Last of Us is that it asks the question, what if love is bad? And that love between two broken people, Joel and Ellie, that we're all cheering for, causes the real end of the world. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Like that is
Yeah.
such a bombshell, because that decision, because it does, like, yeah, the end of the world, like the zombies came, but there was a cure, and if Ellie really was the only one, and now she's and the doctors, out of play, like this whole cause and effect of like Abby and all these different people, or like it caused the end of the world, and so you like lead up to that moment where Abby, like, she tries to, even like in this moment where she kills Joel, where she sees it as an act of justice, um, and she plays the mercy card, like she shows some morality. It catches up to her and it costs the lives of like all of her friends, like freaking um, Tommy Snipes, the I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he snipes one of them, and the other two die like at Ellie's hand. I think Tommy's another character too, where I know people weren't super happy with his decision to stay behind, at least for the first portion of the show, which I do get. Like I told people, like out of my own ass, like, oh, in the game, Tommy goes berserk in Seattle, and he still might, because you do hear a sniper rifle going off in the last episode, but this Tommy is different. He's got a kid. He's a little bit more mature, even though he's the younger brother than Joel was. So like it's a change, and it's one that I'm okay with because the world that they're creating, I think I'd second guess myself too. I mean, he has no idea who killed these people, why they killed Joel. He just knows he's got a son, and Jackson was just invaded by all these zombies, and they kind of need Tommy around, and his son needs Tommy around, and so like that chance I was okay with too.
Yeah, and I realized that in the video game when Abby kills Joel, Tommy's actually there. In the show he was not.
Yeah.
But he is there in the game, but I believe he's knocked out. I don't think he actually sees Joel die. But I thought, like, some people complained about that change with Tommy not being there, but you bring up a good point about this Tommy being different. He has a child now and he's kind of like takes care of this whole town almost. And when the whole like horde of frozen zombies came and was going towards Jackson, that was a new thing I really liked that they added. I thought that was pretty cool how like Abby disturbed all the frozen zombies by like just taking one step. That is so like scary and creepy to think of that happening. But like the attack on Jackson, like I thought that was a great add-on because like that could happen. A horde of zombies could totally come and destroy Jackson, but I mean they were prepared, and I don't think, again, that's another change where I don't think it like really altered the plot. So I don't really see a big deal about it.
No, I don't either. And yeah, like like you said, like I love the visuals of the show. I loved the last episode with just the Seattle vibe where it's rainy and it's dark and it's wet. And I think the scene where like Ellie kills that one girl with the pipe, it's like straight from the video game, the red lighting and everything. Like the visuals were
Mhm.
just, I thought they were beautiful. I thought the whole show was beautiful, and I am so sad it was only 7 episodes long.
Yeah, I really appreciated the effort they put in to make so many scenes in the show the exact same as the video game. And that scene, I also had that noted down here, that scene you just mentioned, with Ellie beating down, I think Nora is that
Nora,
character's
yep.
name. And right before Nora, she like corners Nora and she like says something to her about Joel, and she's like, I think she says it or something, and Ellie just goes off, and
Yeah.
it's that scene was perfect in the
Yep.
show and the game, like especially with all the red lights and the fact that all the spores are in the air and that whole environment, like, oh, that wing was shut down because it's literally, the virus is literally airborne in there, that's why that was shut down. And I just thought it was, they really put in a great amount of effort, same with the first season, I thought, to make so many scenes and everything just look exactly like the game. I thought they did a great job on that.
The red is so awesome, like amazing too, because the red, like when someone is really pissed off, like I just was seeing red, and oh God, in the game when Nora was like that little bitch got what he deserved. I remember I was like, oh, like give me control of this, give me control of Ellie. I'm gonna shoot this bitch. Like
I was like, Ellie better
she
kill
get
this bitch.
yes. I'm like, give me two shotguns. I want two shotguns to the knee before I beat her skull in. And the red vibe gave that whole gave it the vibe of like she's seeing red, she's pissed off, she's sprinting. I love that scene and I love that line delivery and you know I'm really excited to see Abby's story because her friends are so loyal to her for a fault. Like Ellie is a very flawed character and she got a lot of heat for it for not being like this military leader that's storming Seattle and she's a 19-year-old kid just looking to revenge for her dad. I think Abby's going to be the same way. Like in the next season, she's going to have a little more training because she grew up in like a military facility. But like if you played the game, you know how flawed she is as a friend, how flawed, how selfish she can be. And I'm sure that she'll get some hate too because if there's one thing that the internet loves, is they love their female lead characters to be absolutely perfect with zero flaws, logically, physically, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm sure that Kaitlyn Dever will get the hate too. But Abby in the game was extremely flawed. Ellie is extremely flawed. And I think that's what makes it special.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I mean, I don't think I would really would hope that people would like have sympathy for Abby once they see it in the show, but I don't know. I mean, people still don't with after they played the game, so I'm not gonna hold my breath. Like this fandom, like you said, toxic, like that's a perfect word. It's just it's crazy how toxic it's been. I'm not into really into Star Wars, but I know I've seen how that fandom is toxic as well, especially with the Acolyte or something, that show,
Oh
right?
yeah, The Acolyte, The Last Jedi, even like
Yeah, like
Obi-Wan, which I thought was great. But like if you
yeah,
like I said, like if you like less than 50% of what a thing puts out, are you a fan anymore? Because like
yeah,
Last of Us, we're below 50%. We're one love, two fine, two hate. Star Wars, eight love, six fine, nine hate.
yeah.
We're
And I think
not.
another good example is also like Harry Potter as well. Like
Yeah.
I know they tried with the Fantastic Beasts movie series, which I was enjoying. I didn't hate it. I thought it was fun seeing more of the Wizarding World, especially in America and things like that. But people trash those too.
Mm.
I mean, I think this is probably before the whole J.K. Rowling is a piece of shit scandal. But it I liked it. I mean, I at least want to give these things a chance before I'm gonna go ahead and rip them apart. But I feel like there's just so many things like right ahead before it even comes out, they're ready to just jump on it and hate it already without even seeing it.
Yeah, and like the Harry Potter thing too is like, I mean, it's a made up story. Like, let them cast who they want, let them do what they want. If Snape's gonna be black, who cares? Like, who cares? Like, if Voldemort's gonna be Pedro Pascal, who cares? Like,
I swear to God.
yeah, let them cast whoever they want. And yeah, I wasn't the hugest, like the biggest fan of like the Fantastic Beasts, but the way that people crucified those movies, it's like okay, like they're maybe there's no Harry Potter in them and no Dumbledore, but there's well Dumbledore is in them, so it's yeah. And I think people now like it is are just they just love to be pissed off at things too. Where I mean, like we talked about, 28 years later is also receiving some hate. Last of Us is getting some hate. And sorry for the Zoom that keeps ticking us off, but just I think people are addicted to outrage, and so if there's a chance to be pissed off at something, they'll take it. Superman's getting the same thing. Be interesting to see what happens with Fantastic Four this weekend. This podcast won't be releasing until like late August, so maybe we'll see how the Fantastic Four was received or whatever. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe just people love to be pissed off, and if it's not a carbon copy paste of The Last of Us, like she wasn't wearing a beanie when Joel died. I wanted it copy and pasted. It just like, I don't know what to tell you then. Like if you're not liking it, move on because those of us I think love The Last of Us are loving the series.
Yeah, I mean, no matter how much people bitch and moan, I'm still gonna like it. I feel like everybody just wants to complain about everything these days. I'm super excited for Fantastic Four, but I'm of course gonna wait until I see it before I start saying anything about it. Um, but I just think people are just so quick to jump and hate like all these news things just because it's popular, and I'm just like, if it's good, I'm gonna enjoy it. Like you go ahead, you go ahead and be grumpy and not enjoy it. I'm still gonna enjoy it. Leave me be. So I'm still excited, and I will be seeing. I think I'm going Thursday night. I'll be seeing Fantastic Four, so I'm excited.
Nice. I can't wait to see your review on it. Which I'd love to end that way. Like you've been so awesome, and like where can people find you? Like how like obviously your page like we'll link up. But I'd love to ask like just I guess two questions. If people want to support your work, like the Instagram page, the TikTok page, like where else can they go to like find and support like what you're doing and reviewing these stories? And then why don't you give me your three most anticipated movies that are coming out in the next 12 months?
Oh gosh.
How's that for
Um, oh wow. I know I think I put up a most anticipated list before. Now I have to go back, but I feel like this year just has not been a good year for movies so far. But anyways, I am only on Instagram and TikTok. Instagram is Rene.reviews, and TikTok, I believe, is Rene_reviews. Rene is spelled Rene. So you can follow me in there. I'm probably most active on Instagram. I love talking to people about movies. So if anybody wants to talk movies, I am more than open to talk with them about it. And for, oh God, most anticipated. Well, definitely Fantastic Four has always been on my list for sure. I'm seeing the early reviews are positive, but I feel like a lot of the time that's also said for like every Marvel movie. Like I
Yeah.
saw the quote like best Marvel movie since Endgame, and I'm like, that's I've seen that with Thunderbolts too.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'll just wait and see it for myself before I judge. Um, I am excited for Together at the end of the month, um, and also Weapons next month. That is a movie I'm trying not to watch too much about it. I kind of want to go in just not knowing anything too much about it besides the fact that all these kids just disappear in the middle of the night one night.
Oh,
So
yes.
yeah, so the guy
Okay.
who made Barbarian, Julia Gardner is in it, who's the Silver Surfer, and Josh Brolin, who was actually that was supposed to be Pedro Pascal originally.
Man, you
So
are a horror stan, aren't you?
oh yeah, I love horror movies. So if they're actually good, I appreciate it. I'm kind of a snob. I don't really like a lot of horror movies these days, but I'm looking forward to Together and then Weapons for sure. Horror movies right up my alley.
Okay. Okay. Do you have you ever heard of the rock band Ice Nine Kills?
Yes.
Oh, I love that band. I saw them live, and that's like all their songs are based on like horror franchises, and so I
Oh, I'll
just
have to listen to them.
oh
I've heard of them, but I haven't actually listened to them.
oh if you gotta listen to the two albums called The Silver Screams, because they take one like they sing a movie, they sing a movie, they sing songs about Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger, It the Clown, and like I'm not a horror stan. It's like a lot of these guys I had no idea who they were, but I learned about them through their music
Nice.
and like just they're so good. Huh. Well, those are interesting choices. I gotta tell you, like my big month was this month is like the F1, Eddington, Fantastic Four, Superman. Like July was like my month for movies. I couldn't even tell you the next one I might see in theaters. I'm not like a big Avatar person. I never saw like the
I've
last
never
one.
seen them and I have zero
Oh, okay.
interest.
So like probably won't see it. I know that maybe everybody else in the world will see it because they always gross $2 billion. But um, I know next year like there's a lot of like next year like this is Pedro Pascal's year, right? You get The Last of Us, you got Freaky Tales, you got Fantastic Four, you got Eddington, he's in everything. I think next year will be Rob Pattinson's year. Because not only is he filming the Batman Part 2 next year, but he's going to be in the Odyssey. I think he's going to be like the main villain in Dune Messiah. There's another big franchise it is in that I'm totally spacing on right now. But he'll be in everything next year. I love the Rob. Pattinson comeback after the Twilight, and people see him for like he's more than just Edward Cullen. But I think my movie might be, I think, the Odyssey. I'm really looking forward to the Odyssey with Christopher Nolan. I think that cast is awesome. I'm a big John Bernthal stan too, to where I'll watch whatever he's in. And
Did you get your tickets?
no, no, I'm not that big of
They're
a
sold
stan where I'll
out.
get the ticket like a year in advance. Like I don't know what I'm
Mhm.
going to be doing that night in July, but no, I didn't get the tickets, and I know a bunch of scalpers like took them and they're going to sell them, and um, but I think it'll be good. I don't I even like Christopher Nolan movies that I don't particularly like because I do think he's a great director. I don't think he's never misses. Like I thought the one that he put out during the pandemic with Rob Pattinson. I was
Oh,
forget.
Tenet.
I hated Tenet. I thought Tenet was like
Yeah,
40
I remember
minutes
thinking it
too
was a
long.
disappointment, but I only watched it that one time in the theater. I haven't seen it
Yeah.
since.
And you're not a big Oppenheimer fan, right? Like you were not a big, okay.
Now I need action. That was too much talking for me.
So like Christopher Nolan still has work to do to win you over.
I mean, he totally won me over with the Batman trilogy for sure. Those are some of the greatest movies. Inception was also another great one.
Yes.
I still have not to this day seen Interstellar. I was kind of hoping to watch it for the IMAX re-release, but that IMAX release sold out quick too. So I didn't even get
Yeah.
a chance to go see it. But I plan on watching Interstellar sometime soon. So yeah, Nolan's not too bad. I don't like everything, but I'd say maybe about half of his stuff, three-quarters of his stuff I like. Not sure if I'll like the Odyssey. I guess I'll wait to see if more trailers and 'cause I don't really know about it, but
Yeah.
I'll probably still check it out either way.
Okay. Yeah, I love the Dark Knight trilogy, man. Like I watched those recently and just they're so profound. I think and like I back in the day, I used to believe that the middle one, the Dark Knight, was the best one by far. And I don't think I believe that anymore. I think they're all equally great. Sorry, my phone's going off. I'm gonna put on Do Not Disturb. People that send messages, like multiple messages, where I could put all of their text in one message drive me nuts. I'm like, put all of it in one and just make it ring once. But like after watching those again, like Batman Begins, like the dynamic between Ra's al Ghul and Batman of just so similar and like their thinking, except for one big caveat. Loved it. Heath Ledger obviously was brilliant in The Dark Knight. But then like the third one, which gets a lot of hate, I think actually my favorite one. Like I love Bane as a villain. I love Tom Hardy. I love his
Mhm.
acting with his eyes. I love the scope of that one. I love the ending. Just man, like just such a I just and like not everything that he directs is a hit, I don't think, but the Dark Knight trilogy was I still think his best work.
Yeah, I agree, definitely.
Dang, Renee. Well, I know it's late where you're at. Thank you so much for talking with the last about the Last of Us with us. It's so nice to connect with another fan. Hope you come back on soon. Let me know if you wanna connect with a movie that I need to watch that you like and you recommend and just thankful for you and I'll point people to your direction. And for those of you guys that are watching or listening, it is fucking 11:30 at night, Renee's time. And she's still talking about movies. So if you have any doubts, check her out. Rene Reviews.
Anytime.
We'll link her up. And yeah, give